So we're going to start off with our character in this basic position to start off with, and this is essentially where I want you to go with the detailing on the design. Okay, don't go anything beyond this. Let's just keep it nice and simple. So the first thing that we're going to do is we have to obviously get a sense of what the character is going to be doing in this action. And so for this one, I'm going to do the action where the character bends down with his butt sticking out over here, bending his legs down and bending over. And then I'm going to thrust up with the chest first and then have the hips follow. The hips are obviously the major driving force. So the two will work together and the character will go basically straight up in the air over here. In the previous example, I had the character bending over in this direction here and the hips were thrusting and the upper body was following secondary. So we're just going to do a slightly different variation on this one. So I need to get an understanding of what it is that's going on. So just as I said before, with your walk cycle assignment and your run cycle assignment, these are assignments that are utilizing a human character, a body of a character that has 2 arms and 2 legs, just like you do. So therefore, it would only seem logical that you actually go out and do the action yourself to find out, how does this thing work? Okay, where does your body move from and to? So once you've got that established in your head by acting it out, and then thinking it through and visualizing it in your head, then you can sit down and start to draw. A lot of people, I have found that when they sit down with an assignment, if they don't really understand what it is that they're starting off with and what they're going to do, they end up spending a lot of time wasting their drawings, because you're putting your characters into a position that you really don't understand, and you don't know why you're putting them in that position. So know what it is in your head first before you go ahead and draw. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through and I'm going to do all the primary keys, and at first I'm going to do the primary key where I'm blocking out where all the stop positions are, and then eventually what's going to end up happening is I'm going to go into straight ahead mode where I'm just sort of blocking out what I perceive as being the major key positions for different parts, because there's going to be an awful lot of overlapping action taking place on this. So we'll start off with our first primary key pose, or second primary key pose, which will be the one where the character bends over. So I'm going to lock the character's feet down onto the surface here. And then what I want to do is I want to drop their hips straight down and maybe back just a little bit. So the path of action will be sort of like this. And I'm going to drop the chest forward as well. So my basic line of action running through the body is going to be like that. So my primary line of action is right there. I'm going to bend the character over like that so you can see how the butt comes out. So I'd have my legs bent like this, with the body moving forward in that position there. So I'm getting a leg bending butt push. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to get the arms into their farthest back position. And on the opposite side, his arm would be over here. Just basic circle for the hand. So looking at this. So I'm looking at perspective. Okay, where's my horizon line on the character's eye level? Vanishing point is going to be somewhere off to the side over here. So I'm creating a little plane that's down here and getting my arms to work to that. So I really should shorten this up a little bit to bring that down. So my elbow would be over there. My character is going to go into this extreme position here. Now, that doesn't mean that all I have to do now is just figure out my timing chart and in between to this position here, because there are cascading things that are going to be taking place. Overlapping action is going to kick in here. And so you'll find that when you act this out yourself, not everything happens at the same time. So the first thing that I might do is I might have his legs collapse and he goes straight down, and then I kick his butt out secondary to that, and then bring his chest over and then swing the arms back after that. So I'd actually have 1 for the butt, 2 for the chest, 3 for the arms, and then to this position here. Okay, or this might actually be my third key. So I need 2 more keys in between here. So this is where we're starting to get into the realm of primary keys, which is what I have these 2 drawings here, where everything has come to its final stop position. And then I have secondary keys that I would drop in. And this is where I start to plan out when things are going to happen at different points in time. So it's like an in-between, but it's still a key position. So I can go back now and drop in my secondary keys based on what I think I'm going to do. And that's going to be having my butt go down first. So I'm going to lock my feet in again, trace back the legs here into their down position. So I'm basically just doing this action here, but I'm going to keep the body up here. So the body comes down like this and then goes to this position here, swings forward. Okay? So my butt has stopped, but the top part of my body is going to cascade over, and then my arms are going to swing down. So I need to now think about what are my arms going to do between here and here. So from this position here to this position here, my shoulders are obviously swinging forward. So what I might want to do is just do a simple pivot where the arms are just basically doing this, and do a little bit of a curl on the hand. So I'm getting that S curve through there. And now I go to my next secondary key, which is going to bring my chest over. So I'm basically coming down to this position here, or I could put a little bit of a favor so that it doesn't quite reach the end point. I'm going from here to here now. And this is where I can start to decide what I'm going to be doing with my arms. So if I swing them forward like this, my shoulders coming forward here. What I can begin to do is pull my elbow back, bring my hand forward, and then go into that position there. Right, so now if I put these back into their proper order, this is my first key, my second and third, and then into this one here. So now my action goes from here to here to here to here. Actually, let me flip it so you can see it. So it's very, very subtle, but each part locks out and allows the other part to then catch up and move into its position. Right? So I'm not doing everything all at the same time. So now from this position here, I'm going to go into my forward or my upper thrust, where I'm going to drive everything upwards. This is not my high point. This is more like a breakdown drawing, but it's where I'm going to get the body to snap right out into its full position here. So I'm just going to leave the arms off on this drawing and then drop the arms in as an overlapping action. So now what I want to do is I want to get my body to its upper highest point, which is going to be up here. And then I have to start to decide, well, what am I going to do with my legs? Should I have my legs come forward into this position here, or should I have them maybe kick back like this? Okay. So it sort of depends on what's the nature of your character's jump. Like, why is the character jumping? What's the purpose of the jump? Is the character feeling happy Are they sad? If they're happy, they're going to go up higher and probably explode out. So I can go to this position here with my arms maybe. That. Okay. If the character is sad, then they're obviously not going to jump as high. There'd be probably more of a droop. It'd be like, ugh, that type of thing, right? If they're scared, they're jumping because they're scared. It'd probably be a different type of a whoa. So they might have their hands up in front of them, right? So you have to decide what is it your character is doing and why are they doing it. So we've spoken about this on past assignments as well. Your animation has to have a purpose. It has to have a reason. And this is the thing that I want you to begin to think about. Why is your character doing what they're doing? So now from here, this bottom pose here, I want to go back and figure out what my arms are going to be doing. So this is my upward thrust part. So my arms are way back in this position here. I'm going to bring them up and forward like this in front of my character's face. So I probably shrug the shoulders up. That, and then have them spread out. Ta-da! Okay, you can do any number of different variations of this as well. Doesn't necessarily have to be that exact same position. So I'm starting to open up a little bit more and allow you to do whatever you want with your character here. You decide what your character is going to do. You decide how your character is going to jump. The only things that I'm going to restrict you to is that the character has to be in a 3/4 front view, the character has to anticipate down, the character has to jump up into the air, and the character has to land back on the exact same point that they jumped off of and do a recovery and settle into their final position, right? And then I'll put a slightly more restrictive type thing on it. I don't want any back flips, I don't want any 360 spins or kung fu kicks or anything like that, okay? It's just a straight up jump up in the air, but you can do anything but not those things. All right? Okay. So now, when we're coming from this position here, our tada position, we now need to bring our character back down to the ground. And so we're going to get our stretched out position here, where I need to come back to this foot placement here. So I've got to make sure that I'm getting there by basically just tracing off where the feet have to be, just so I have a guide here. So there's my foot position there, and there's my other foot position there. So I got to make sure that when I come back down into that pose, I'm actually hitting those points. So you can see, based on the line that I drew right there, my feet are not necessarily going to land in that position. So I've got to make sure that my line of action now comes down like this. You know, because the character is coming down, I'll probably want to drag the feet in the air like this to get some overlapping action. If you do this in real life, try and land on your heels, it's going to hurt. But from a visual point of view, going from this position down to this position here, it just looks better than pointing the toes down. If you point the toes down, it tends to slow everything down a little bit. Right? So let's look at the action here. From here to here, you can see that we're thrusting the arms out. So where are we going to put our arms in this position here as the character begins to come down? We've got to start to collapse the arms in. Like this. So now we're starting to replicate one of our early assignments, the very first assignment actually, which is our perpetual ball bounce. This is our stretch position on the way down. We didn't do the stretch position on the way down, we just kept the ball as a normal ball. But in this case here, now we're dealing with a character. In order to get the character to look like gravity's pulling on them, we're going to do that stretch in the middle on this drawing here. And then we're going to get our contact point our feet slap down, but we're going to go to the extreme position, which is our down position. So we're going to buckle our knees. And here again you have to decide what are you going to do with your upper body. So this is similar to the double ball bounce with the tail. Okay, the body being the tail in this instance here, we have to follow that path of action straight down. As the body comes down, it's got to follow in this direction here so we can get some overlapping action taking place. So the arms are going to be stretched straight up. Down like that.